Alrighty. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Valence League Split 3 Division 1B, where we're going to be watching a best of 3 between TG Nocturne and Paragon 6. My name is Tokisaki Lol, and I'm today joined by none less than Snowspy. How's it going, my dude?
I'm going good. I just realised, why is it Tokisaki LOL? Do you just like to emphasise the League of Legends, or
yes, that's actually what it is. It's just for League of Legends, just so that people like in Dota don't think they can just get me as a cast. You have to work for it.
So you're not. If you cast Dota, are you Tokisaki Dota? Tokisaki CS:GO? It's like split
Tokisaki
personalities.
Unites, basically, yeah. Every Toki is different, but we are going to be watching a very interesting game, of course, between TG Nocturne and Paragon 6. TG Nocturne already won their first game without losing a single game, looking quite strong into the upcoming possible playoffs. However, Paragon 6, they have no choice. They need to win this game, Snowspy.
Yeah, they absolutely do. It's a very on-the-line pressured situation for them. You win this one or you're out, basically. The VL splits, obviously, we've split into 2 divisions. You only get 4 games. Every game is super important. They've already lost 2, which means this one is a must-win, and we're going to go straight into this ban phase. First up, Wukong banned away. Sir Jonjo has been playing that champion, going to be matched by that Shen. These bans are coming out quick fire, which shows me these teams have prepared.
Yeah, and it's very important for these teams to have prepared, especially as we talked about Paragon 6. They really are going to have to put something out of the bag because they have played 2 best of 3s already, lost all of the games. They haven't even won a single game, and now they're going to need 2 at least in the next 3 games coming up as the next bans are coming out. We see a Morgana from the side of Paragon, and also the Jinx and the Ahri being taken away.
Ahri makes sense. It's one of Helicon's most played champions. Super good on that one. So you take that one away, push him onto something that's a little bit more different comfort. And what I'm really looking at here is what Helicon can do. He has a champion pool that directly counters that of Obsessed Legacy. Obsessed Legacy likes to play these poke champions, this Vel'Koz, this Lux. Those are directly countered by the things like the LeBlanc, by the things like the Ahri, even though he's not going to play it, but these more burst champions. And we're going to see that Kai'Sa picked up by Hairy Grandmother, a champion that they have played a lot of and has seen varying success in.
Yeah, and it tells me that they, already want to go for a very aggressive composition because, we know back in the day when Kai'Sa was the more common first pick, everyone tended to go for something like the Realm and the Hecarim and something that goes completely into the enemy team, full on engage mode. And it kind of maybe shows Paragon 6 already what TG Nocturne want to kind of go for when it comes to composition-wise, as they now pick up the Jhin, and are perhaps looking to get in themselves as they are hovering the Vi.
Going straight for the counter all in, possibly picking that Vi up. But the Jhin does make sense. It surprises me that Viking went for that one just because he's known as more of a scaling AD carry player. Plays a lot of Jinx, a lot of Sivir, a lot of Vayne. Zac coming through as well means that your team fight's super good, but it's countered straight away by that Sejuani. So these teams already looking to play for these 5 versus 5s.
Yeah, and that's always going to be exciting to see. And, it's going to be very interesting to see how both these teams are going to play those team fights out. Because so far, not really been working for Paragon. As now the last pick is coming in here in the first rotation for Nocturne. It will be that Leona and just fitting into that aggressive composition.
Just more CC layered on top of everything else. And the Leona makes a lot of sense, pairs super well with Kai'Sa, gives you really good backline access in those team fights. But when you've got a Rel on the flip side, it looks like we're gonna have a classic good old Western shootout here, Toki. It's gonna be whoever is first gets the kill, because so much engagement on both sides, which means that if you're the first team in there, you should be winning that fight.
And it's so exciting because the bot lane is really what we're going to be looking at the most when it comes to these two teams. It is the bot lanes that have been performing. There's the bot lanes where where everything seems to happen. So seeing a Rel Jhin versus a Leona Kai'Sa means a lot of aggression is about to come there. Now, the Sylas being picked away makes sense. Obsessed Legacy, of course, likes to play that Sylas. So just another takeaway. Then, it makes a lot of sense as well, when you have good ultimates on the team and perhaps they want to pick some more strong ultimates as well. As now the Gnar is also the takeaway here for TG Nocturne.
And I think on the side of this Paragon 6 team, they need to look to, I was about to say, take away one of these poke champions because Jhin he has a lot of utility from range, but most of his damage comes from that fourth shot, those auto attacks that he can weave in and out. And I think it's a really good pivot from this Nocturne side to go, okay, you pick Jhin to counter Kai'Sa. That's cool. You're going to win lane. Good luck playing into Sejuani Leona. They are so tanky, and there is one thing that Jhin can't do, and that is burst tanks.
Oh, I just almost got a heart attack there. I saw a Riven hover, and I personally get a heart attack there. But it is going to be the LeBlanc picked up here for the side of Paragon 6. A very aggressive pick once again, and I would not be surprised to see the Lux maybe coming out here in the mid lane, of course, for Helicon. Really likes to play that a lot. Sorry, not for Helicon, rather for Obsessed Legacy, of course. So we'll see if that is going to happen. But LeBlanc, very aggressive, and it just looks like both these teams are just going to be smacking each other because, well, especially with an Ornn as well, that is going to up your team fighting prowess even more.
And I will be surprised, in all honesty, if that is going to be a Lux. They need something with a little bit more consistent damage. You've took 3 really huge tanks, and you've got a Kai'Sa that's burst, a Lux that's burst, and they're going to really struggle to kill this Zac, I think. And not only that, Lux locked in. LeBlanc's a direct counter of that champion. Yeah. You can't hit skill shots on her, and she can kill you whenever she wants. So Obsessed Legacy really going to have to pull out all the stops here to be able to outplay this 1v1 into a counter matchup.
Yeah, it's definitely a difficult matchup. I, back in the day, played a lot of Lux in the mid lane, so I definitely seen a lot of LeBlancs against me as well. And it's kind of, a prediction game. If you don't predict her jump into maybe your Q, you might just be in a lot of trouble in this lane. As you said, it is a counter matchup. So now, though, the Urgot will be the pickup for Sir John Joe here into the Ornn. Should have a completely fine time there in towards this top lane. And it's going to be very interesting to see where these junglers are going to put their pressure.
Yeah, these drafts are kind of strange to me. On the side of this Nocturne team, you've got a load of tanks mixed with 2 burst carries, which aren't going to be able to put a huge amount of team fight damage out, especially into stuff like the Zac, like the Urgot. Whereas on the flip side, Paragon, they've got a team that's kind of going to struggle to kill tanks, but the benefit of that is if LeBlanc, Jhin, and Urgot work together, as soon as you kill this Kai'Sa, there is absolutely no consistent damage out of the side of Nocturne, and you should be able to clean up every fight from there. Even if you lose maybe 1, maybe 2 members, it should be absolutely fine for you because you just kill that Kai'Sa off. And where does their damage comes from? Yeah, you can argue that Lux offers a decent amount of damage, but it's in burst, it's in rotations, it's not consistent.
It is definitely not consistent. Now, what is consistent, though, is Nocturne's winning streak so far. They've been looking quite good, so wouldn't be surprised if they can also pull this off. But the question, of course, is how are they going to do it, right? What are we expecting to see from them in the early game? Because as you said, if this game goes late and they, the side of Paragon can kill Harry Grandmother on that Kai'Sa, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. So what do we want to see from them when it comes to this early game? Where do we want to see the pressure on the side of TG Nocturne?
I'll talk about that in a second, Toki. I just need to hop back. You just said impressive winning streak from Team Nocturne when they've won 1 game.
Well, 2 games. It's 2 games.
But 2 games in 1 series.
A winning streak is a winning streak,
Big with their 2-game winning streak right now. But
if you're facing a 4-game losing streak, it looks a bit better, doesn't it, though?
Oh yeah, true. That's 100% versus 0%. I mean, statistically, when we talk about it, Nocturne's got this one in the
already
bag.
Played. Yeah.
Let's hash back to what you asked me to talk about earlier, what this Team Nocturne side's looking to do to get an advantage on this one. And the one thing they don't want to do is scale, because scaling is really bad when you're playing into
Yeah.
Lux Jhin. They have so much burst, so much potential to kill these carries, and we spoke about it before. Yes, you have a lot of CC, but CC is really hard to land on LeBlanc. She just skirts around team fights, fights you over walls, and meanwhile, Urgot Zac is going to be shredding through your tanks depending on what they build. They have a variety of different items that can really help them to get through tanks. Zac does max health damage. Urgot can get that Titanic Hydra, start to chunk people out consistently, and all you really need from Jhin is to just provide that extra little bit of utility, come out with that burst in the end. I feel like Nocturne's side really has to spike in the mid game, get to this second, third dragon point, and start obliterating team fights before the enemy team can get enough damage to properly burst you out or be able to survive that burst.
Yeah, so we're looking for a more aggressive early game style here, of course, for the side of Nocturne to get themselves this early lead and perhaps make sure that Paragon can't even come back from it anymore, that they are too far ahead and it just becomes too much for them. But of course, yeah, then on the side of Paragon, yes, they might have not won a game, but would you consider this being a one draft, as we talked about? Because, of course, you know, Helicon as well, being that LeBlanc, we talked about how important it is for Harry Grandmother to stay alive in these fights, because if he's gone, then they really have nothing left. And if there's one champion who is fantastic at picking people off, it's LeBlanc.
I wouldn't say anything is ever a one draft when we're watching VL. That's a bit of an overstatement to think about. I feel like if we're in a situation where both teams execute their comp to its desired effects, then yes, Paragon have a really winning draft, because their draft as a whole counters what this Nocturne side wants to do. But if Paragon isn't quite on the ball, if they aren't able to dive backline and they use all their abilities onto this front line, then I definitely see a world where this Nocturne team's going to run straight through them, because Lux and Kai'Sa untouched, while it's mostly burst damage they do, they can absolutely obliterate team comps. And especially when you look at, you know, Zac is essentially the only tank. Urgot's going to get tanky, but he builds more like a bruiser, so he still has that potential to get obliterated, especially if your Lux and your Kai'Sa can start to get ahead.
Yeah, so it's going to be very, very interesting to see if Paragon this time around are going to be able to get themselves a game on the board. They're going to need it, because as we talked about, if they do not win this series, they are out. They will not be able to make it towards the playoffs. Well, there is... No, actually, no, I thought there was a chance. But no, there is no chance. They have to win it, of course. And for Nocturne, you know, they are just looking to secure that spot, make sure that top 3 is going to be even closer in their size. And as such, we are going to slowly get ready to get ourselves into this first game between Nocturne on the blue side and Paragon 6 on the red side. And are we expecting any early game invades coming out from either team, or are we going to expect, you know, more of a 5-pointer, some chill times going on?
There's definitely potential. Before we get into that, just make sure we obviously always need to pause at 10 seconds, sync up. We'll wait for the call from production to head into this game, and then I'll comment.
Yeah.
Lovely. So as we get into this one, you were asking me about what we're expecting in terms of the early game. I think there's a lot of invade potential from the side of this Nocturne team. They have a pause straight away. Doesn't even matter. We could have just waited. Didn't even need to sync up. But you know what? It is what it is. They've got Lux Binding. They've got a lot of damage from the Halo Blades and an isolation Q out of this Kai'Sa. They've got good CC from the Leona, as well as nice follow up from this Ornn and this Sejuani. So you can realistically see them bursting someone out with a good pick in this early game. Their position at the moment looks like they might be looking for an invade.
Yeah.
I would expect them to go through mid, but the only issue is you want to try find this Jhin, or most likely you want to find this Jhin, because LeBlanc can start W. It's not really effect for her lane. Rel starts W as is anyway, so she can get over a wall. So for them right now, their goal, hunt this Jhin down if they go for this invade.
We'll see if they will do. And the pause is, I don't know exactly what is going on, but it looks like we just have a DC on the side of Paragon, but that is just been fixed. So we should get ourselves into the game very, very soon. And yeah, we'll see if they actually do go for that early invade towards the mid lane. It's something that I see happen a lot in solo queue. Like, people just always going through the mid lane, running into that side bush and just sneaking in immediately, because the vision from the side bush is just very, very difficult to play against. So we'll see if we're going to see something like that, a classic kind of invade, or maybe a 5-pointer. But I feel like most interestingly, where are these junglers going to want to start, of course? Because I feel like when it comes to both teams, this top lane, you know, Sure, you can kind of bully it as the Urgot together with the Zac, but I feel like you maybe want to look towards the bot lane or the mid lane more when it comes to ganking.
Both junglers want a path towards their bot lane. It's the most volatile lane. It's the lane where if you can get ahead as a duo, you can just absolutely obliterate the other side, because Jhin has that slight range advantage over the Kai'Sa. He has that slight trading extra damage. It's only when Kai'Sa finds an all-in that she's better. So if you can get a lead there and get to a point where Jhin can do so much damage, it doesn't matter if Kai'Sa tries to all-in him, because he's just going to be constantly bursting her out with those fourth shots. You know what? I'm going to comment real quick on this, because it really annoys me. So, you see how this Zac's hovering mid?
Yes.
This happens all the time in VL, and it really annoys me because people always go, oh, it's because we don't want you to know where our jungler starts. But if the jungler just uses his ward in one of the river bushes, either top side or bot side, and bases, you don't know where he goes anyway.
Look, they're both doing it now.
And junglers don't want to have ward. They want sweeper. They want to be able to gank. But it happens so often. They just both stand mid, wave at each other, do a little dance, and then they just both walk off to their respective camps. And it makes zero sense, and it blows my mind.
The funny thing is as well, like Ace did it first, and then it looked like Teacher Nocturne weren't going to do it, but then they just, they committed to it as well, and they just sent Sejuani to the mid lane, and then we had exactly what you were talking about. It's quite funny to see, but more interestingly, actually, is that both junglers are starting on opposite sides, and you talked about how they actually both want to path towards the bot side, but what is it going to mean for Charian to now be pathing towards that top side?
I can understand it. You look at the team of, Paragon 6, and you go, who's most likely their weakest player? And it is Jonjo. He's very susceptible to ganks. He doesn't really look at his maps very much, and if you path towards that top side, he will get caught out on that third wave. As we can probably already see when the camera pans up there, he's looking to push it out into Ornn, so he's going to be in a position where he can get ganked as soon as Sejuani gets up there. So it makes a lot of sense, but the only issue is, if Ascendant is able to get a gank off in the bot lane, you are screwing yourself over so much. It's going to be interesting to see if he wants to go for that. As in the mid lane, actually, trouble for Obsessed Legacy, having a really, really rough time. And you talked about the counter pick, right? Helicon should be completely fine in this lane, and it's quite showing. Has a lot of potions, though, to be able to heal up for now. So should be okay, at least, as the game goes on. But yeah, you cannot keep taking those kinds of trades, because you will be in trouble against the LeBlanc. And here we see it. I called it out. Jonjo pushing this wave in. You might think, oh, great, prio. But so many top laners are used to junglers going bot to top. And then so they feel like they're safe. But at the moment, his jungler's pathing away from him. And he's looking to push in this wave. So if Frucharian just skips his Gromp, heads top now, I feel like that's either an easy kill or at least an easy flash.
Yeah, but the skipping of the Gromp is not going to happen. You can actually, though, see, so Jonjo did place down a ward. However, Hitcod was pinging that, noticing that this happened. So you know that Frucharian will also notice and probably just go for the Scuttle Crab and then perhaps maybe look for the mid lane as Helicon goes for a nice little engage on Obsessed Legacy and just keeps on winning out on those trades.
How is Obsessed Legacy ever supposed to win? Your only winning trade is somehow predicting the W with your Q and then just completely outplaying it. But on the side of Helicon, they've got so many ways to win the trade. They can W out the way of the Q, go in with QE, still really good poke, you get the electrocute. They can go in for the Q, go for the W, trade the damage and tank your Q, because it doesn't matter, they're still going to win out on that trade with that electrocute. But here we see the gank from Ascendant now.
Yeah, the engage is there, but a great stun from Vermouth is going to keep them to safety. Harry Mother does get poked out a little bit, but no much happening yet. As now in the mid lane, here comes the counter again for Frucharian. The flash from Helicon is good. The Q misses from Obsessed Legacy, and well, you might actually be in a little bit of trouble. Helicon decides against going further, and it's just going to back away for now.
Oh, I know that they had the barrier, but I would have liked to see him at least make them use a summoner spell. Flash was a little bit weird there by Helicon, but I can understand it. You want to make sure that you do get out of the way of that gank, survive, make sure that there's no chance that you die there, and you are just going to keep bullying at this LeBlanc. Yeah, it helps alleviate a little bit of pressure, but once Helicon gets to that level 6 mark, he pretty much can never be ganked again with that double distortion.
Yep. You're just not going to be able to get him, especially not with something like I said, Sejuani. You don't have point clicks to see, you don't have any way of getting through there. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how that's going to go, as now Ascendant is once again looking towards this bot lane for a gank, but the wave is completely pushed up and it's just kind of a bit of wasted time.
And I think they could have actually dove that there. With the Rel, having that Guardian and that Aftershock from Zac, you do become really tanky. And if you make sure to focus all your damage, all your CC onto that Kai'Sa, it was a possible diveable opportunity, but don't want to risk it. Don't want to send it right there. They do play it safe, which means that they get a nice push in, are able to base, and will have tempo on the map. So right now I'm looking from Hobo Lord to not do what he's doing right now, which is run straight bot. I'm looking for him to run mid. There we go. Oh,
yeah. Oh, there was hesitation over there.
Run mid, get vision with your jungler, and start setting up for this dragon, because you have that prio, the tempo from getting the base off first, and you need to utilize it. So well played from them to recognize that. I was a bit scared at first.
It just felt like one of those things in League where you just click somewhere on the map and your character's just not going where you want to go. It's like, how did I just die? It's because you were sent into the wrong direction. But it did actually say the Dragon Vision, well, not really being set up, but at least Hobo Lord made sure to get around there to make sure that the side of TG Nocturne was not going to have a wave set up there. So no real vision set up, but at least they are ready to go for it now. But we can see now Ace is going towards that top side, maybe looking to path, then get that jungle towards the bottom side of the map and look forward to his next dragon. As Sir Jonjo is going very deep on his opening. Fracharian is here, and Obsessed Legacy as well, and yeah, that's just going to be a lockup, and surely with the Ornhorn coming out as well, which was quite unnecessary, I think. There is no way Sir Jonjo can get out of here. Slowly but surely being taken down. The first blood goes to Obsessed Legacy. As in the bot lane now, there is a fight as well. Hoverlord with the engage on Harry Grandmother forced to flash. Vermouth now is taking some damage, but both these bot lanes will be fine. But Sir Jonjo, a bit too deep, buddy.
Really deep, and what's even more surprising is that Helicon gave up about 10 minions to go try help him there when he was definitely dead. I mean, that could have been a really big advantage, and this now looks like it's going to be a little scrap in the top lane, but it's happening in the bot lane as well.
Yeah, there's scraps everywhere over the map. Ace has made it out now, but the teleport is coming in from Sir Jonjo. He's back into the fray, and Obsessed Legacy is now forced to swat flash. Here comes Fracharian, has nowhere to go now. Surely will fall first. Sir Jonjo is going to pick that one up, and Obsessed Legacy only has the barrier left. Is it going to be enough to survive, though? That is the question. There comes the barrier, but there's 3 people. Helicon picks up another.
Yeah, really nice, and we just see the ability to play around these skirmishes way better. They have so much damage right now with this LeBlanc, with this Urgot, whereas Sejuani Ornn can't offer the same amount of burst, the same amount of damage. Even Zac has a lot of damage in this early game, and we see there the CC combined with the amount of damage they have and the lack of summoners from this Nocturne side that they just get instantly bursted out. And right now we're seeing the same thing happening in bot lane. They're just able to constantly punish, and I think a lot of it was to do with that early Zac gank. While you didn't get a kill, it meant that your bot lane constantly has push now and can make any play that they want to make.
And it's really good to see from the side of Paragon, because we talked about, right, if Paragon fall behind, that's kind of the way for TG Nocturne to win this, if they just get that early mid-game spike. But now, with these scrappy fights going the way of Paragon 6, that means they are going to be in a driving seat, and if they can keep that driving seat going, it's going to be very difficult for TG Nocturne to come back.
And I think it was really cocky from Obsessed Legacy to counter-pick LeBlanc with the Lux. Surely, having that many Lux games, you know that LeBlanc is pretty much a direct counter-pick. I remember a couple seasons ago, it used to be the specific counter-pick for Lux. Yeah. And, you know, now you can play other things into it that are just about as good. But Lux still super good into this matchup, really happy. And I feel like Helicon, with the lead he's got now, can absolutely take over the game if he keeps playing this the way that they are now.
Yeah, and I like to see the Darksteel come out then as well for Helicon. Knows that this is the case and is confident in that as well. And, you know, once you get those more kills, it's going to make him even stronger. So definitely a lot of trouble into the mid lane for the side of TG Nocturne. It's going to be one to watch. Is now a fight in the top lane has gone out. So Jonjo doing a lot of damage to it. Colin, of course, has the ultimate ready. Could potentially use that, but it's not going to happen for now.
And I really wonder what the top laner from Nocturne is building out of that giant spell. Anathema's not that good in this game, but mid lane, that burst is huge. Shouldn't be a kill there, but so much.
Yeah, but look at that! The ultimate almost taking down Helicon. Actually is forced to flash because Sejuani just came by, so getting that flash from LeBlanc anyway, but that was a very, very close fight between these mid laners.
But yeah, just to hark back to this build real quick. This giant spell, Anathema's doesn't really make sense. Yeah, you can put it on Urgot, but you're going to be tanky anyway because it's Jinx and Lux. They're not Jinx. Sorry, Jhin and Lux and Jhin and LeBlanc. They're not really going to be able to kill you that easily. So it doesn't really make sense to go for Anathemas. So I'm not sure what that's building into. We'll have to see what he goes for. I feel like what would have made a lot more sense is the traditional plated steel caps into the Bramble Vest, which we see a lot of on Ornns, especially when they're into a matchup like this Urgot, because you just become unkillable at that point.
Yeah, and unkillable is definitely going to be the name of the game for this Ornn again in the late game as well, right? Because you got the LeBlanc, the Jhin. I mean, what really is going to touch you? Kind of nothing. So, yeah, interesting to see what this build path is going to bring us. As you know, we see a lot of Ace going towards this dragon area, but not really daring to go for it. Obviously, this Scuttle Crab is on the side of TG Nocturne, so it is quite difficult for them to go for it safely, but you can see how badly they want it.
They want it so bad. They just constantly want to try and make plays over on that bot side, and it makes sense. You've got a really volatile matchup, but this could be a gank here that nets them something.
Yeah, the Solar Flare does go wide though, and Ace is now here to enter the fray. Curtain Call has been popped. Now we see though they're kind of focusing different targets. Less bounces there as well. Harry Grandma is in a lot of trouble with the Magnet Storm, is going to be the first one to go. Helicon has made it towards the team. That's going to be another one picked up. Are they looking for the dive? Fracharion is going to dive back in, but that might have been a mistake, as that is going to be a double kill for the support, and it will only be for the passive of Zac.
Yeah, passive as that comes out, those little blobs going to come together, and Obsessed Legacy might be making a mistake.
Gets the kill though, but it's going to trade his life for it. Viking picks that one up, and Paragon 6 are going crazy and are now looking towards the dragon as well.
And I think if you're playing the Zac there, you're question mark pinging your teammates, because they should have predicted Lux is missing on the map. Lux is probably running bot, and she has that kind of burst. But Sir Jonjo trying to go for a solo.
Oh, it's going to get it as well. We talked about Paragon 6 going crazy. Well, the whole squad is going absolutely crazy. A solo kill in the top lane, a dragon to boot, and they are looking good to pick up their first game in Division 3.
And they're looking really good. They've hit the switch now. They've picked a comp that they can play around in it. They might even be going for more here. Do back away in the end. I feel like that's a good bet, because Hobo looks about half health, and Kai'Sa deals really well into half health champions.
Oh, well, they might be forced to fight anyway, as here comes the stopwatch from Hobo Lord, but Vermouth is still very tanky, and it looks like Hobo Lord is going to be able to get out to Jhin. It's just doing so much damage back, and with Ace over here, the side of TG Nocturne have to be very, very careful, and it looks like Vermouth has absolutely nowhere to go. Does have the flash ready, is going to use it very wisely, but is it going to be enough? The Jhin is going to get the stun. It is going to be a shutdown on the Zac, but it's a 1-for-1 so far. Fracharion has now made it towards this fight. Are they going to be able to kill Viking? Viking flashes away, and maybe Ace will be the one to get killed, and it's going to be a double kill for the Kai'Sa.
But one more. Look at Lux moving now. That Glacial Prism's almost up. They can dive this if they want to, and Viking is going to have to back away from that one to keep himself safe.
Yeah, very cleverly done by Viking to walk up a little bit further to make sure the Obsessed Legacy is not going to fight anything there. But at least, you know, the hopes are up for the side of TG Nocturne. The kills are on the opponent members, and Harry Grandmother playing that fight very well to make sure that it's not all just gone and dusted.
Really close there. I feel like they could have possibly won that with you know, if they backed out straight away as they saw that Leona leave. Zac, I think, overcommits a little bit there. Ascendant goes for a big play, isn't quite able to get it, does get bursted out. Really nice play from Harry Grandmother, but they're still ahead of the curve, Paragon. We talked about how as it gets later and later, their comp played to the correct standard that it should be able to beat out this enemy team's composition. So, you know, it's really well from them that they're sitting at around 2,000 gold ahead now, and if they do look to get this Herald, it will only help them snowball further.
It definitely will, and it might allow us to look a little bit at the items that we have come through as well, of course, because there is a pretty significant lead for Paragon 6, and you can kind of see that in the items as well. And, you know, one of the more important things to mention are not only just the fact that there's 6 stacks on the LeBlanc right now, but also the buffed Hullbreaker being picked up, of course, by Sir Jonjo.
And that's interesting, to say the least, but I don't even want to comment because we see another gank mid.
Yeah. And, well, it's just going to be explosion. There's nothing Obsessed Legacy can do but flash, but Let's Bounce is just going to blob him down, and Ascendant is going to pick that one up.
And the Hullbreaker is strange to me because of the fact that your team is absolutely fine fighting 5 versus 5 with the fact that you have this LeBlanc. If she can find a flank, she can do so much damage onto the backline, but You know, I guess it makes sense. You go that Hullbreaker, you sit on the side wave as that Urgot, and you just force someone over to you all the time. If it's Ornn's really good at team fighting compared to you. He offers a lot of CC, so you just constantly bring him to that side wave, make sure it's a 4 versus 4, and skirmishes are where LeBlanc and Jhin can do super well.
Yeah, and it's working out for Sir Jonjo so far. Just managed to get that first turret completely on his own, of course, and is also very far ahead in this lane. So perhaps it is a nice call to just play the side wave and just force the side of TG Nocturne to not be able to teamfight the way they would like to want to. But now you can see there's a vision being removed, but Vermouth just misses the Zenith blade. But Frajarian goes with the flash ultimate. That's going to be a lockup on the rail. That's going to be the first one to go. With the Solar Flare, Viking is going to fall next. A shutdown for Frajarian and 2 kills for TG Nocturne.
And that is what I spoke about with the burst. They have so much burst potential and so much pick potential in this mid game. If they decide that they want someone to die, they absolutely can kill this person, especially before people are able to get tanky. But Rift are going to be put mid, but I don't think it's going to be able to get anything. Platings are gone now. It will be a little bit of damage, but really well picked up, and we can see why Team Nocturne are the slight favourites in this game.
Yeah, and this is what they're going to have to keep doing in order to come back into this game to make sure that they're going to win it, because it is still, you know, Paragon 6 in the lead, and they are the ones who are going to have the advantage when it comes to the later game as well. So more plays like this are going to be necessary. You might see one now as Vermouth looking for a kind of gank here, but Sir Jonjo has everything watered up and should be safe.
And as we head into a state where there's not really any objectives on the map, we are going to have Dragon up in 30 seconds, but it doesn't seem like Paragon, like Nocturne is looking to contest that. They're sending their Kai'Sa to the top lane. They are sending Sejuani down here, but Leona's base, so at most they're looking for a steal. But in terms of gold, we've got even AD carries, we've got slight lead on Helicon in that mid lane. So LeBlanc here really looking to do something huge, but the biggest one we want to point out is Sir Jonjo, able to accumulate a 2.4k gold lead just by himself pretty much. They had that one jungle play, but all of this lead that has been built on this side of Paragon has been through Sir Jonjo's Urgot.
Yeah, and you talked about how he was the potential weak link for this game, but so far looking like a strong link, as there's now going to be a team fight. The Ornn has been pulled off, going towards Viking, but is going to escape it. But look at this, Riddle is completely on her own. That's going to be an easy kill pickup, and now Viking is going to have to be careful. A lot of ultimates being blown, not really hitting, but it's still going to be enough to pick up that kill. It's caught. Will take that one up, and in the backline, Helicon got that solo kill on Obsessed Legacy, and Ace is now looking to go for more. Let's bounce. It's 4 people, and it's looking really good so far, but do they have the damage? So Jonjo is trying to flash on his but it's going to fall next. Shut down for Grandmother, and now Ace and Helicon are going to have to back away because the numbers are just not there. And even as a LeBlanc, it is just going to be enough. No, an aggressive ultimate from Harry Grandmother will get that kill, and it's a 1-team fight for TG Nocturne.
Oh, and it's perfectly winnable, that 3 versus 4 for the side of Paragon, but they just didn't think about who they needed to select as their target. They went for the Ornn that is getting to be so tanky. They've built this Anathemas. They're able to tank a decent amount of damage, especially the fact that he's put it onto that Urgot, which means that Urgot can't put the same amount of DPS out as he should. If they realised that Hairy Grandmother was the target and just obliterated Hairy Grandmother, there's nothing the enemy team can do. Obsessed Legacy's already dead. That's one of the damage carries. And then if you kill Hairy Grandmother, you've pretty much got base damage from Ornn, some base damage from Leona, and some base damage from Sejuani, which is not going to be comparable to that of an Urgot, Zac, and LeBlanc together. So really well played from the side of Nocturne to be able to stay in that clump to protect their AD carry, but I feel like Paragon kind of dropped the ball a little bit there.
Yeah, I think so too, and it's exactly what we talked about before this game even started. Is like the Kai'Sa, that is the one they need to focus on, and especially now that Harry Grandmother has picked up 4 kills in this game, a very, very good performance from him so far. They are really going to have to up their game for the side of Paragon 6 if they want to take him down, because like this, it is not going to happen, and you guys are not going to win team fights. So it looks like there's, once again, they're going to send Sir Jonjo over to these side lanes, because yeah, if you can't win team fights, perhaps that is the way to push this game forward.
And it's a way to make sure you're always getting an advantage. They need to send 2 people over to Sir Jonjo. He can 1 versus 1 pretty much anyone in this game. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't even matter if it's Hairy Grandmother. If Hairy Grandmother's alone, then Urgot is absolutely going to dominate in that matchup. But going to keep pushing on, has that Hull Breaker, going to be able to tank, absolutely destroy turrets super quickly. But what there is to notice is there's not much river vision. He's only got a ward in Tribush, which means that if they decide to collapse on him, he could be dead here. But they are electing to put their pressure mid lane instead.
Yeah, and they're all 5 over there at the mid lane, which means that Sir Jonjo feels completely safe even without the vision. And look, he's just tanking the turret because he knows like there's no one here to pick me up, and that's just a tier 2 turret for free picked up by Sir Jonjo.
And he's going to push for even more. There's no one on this bot side. Idko is the first person walking down here as the Ornn, who we already spoke about, loses this matchup. Yes, he's got the anathemas, but it doesn't matter because if you're not able to output damage yourself, Sir Jonjo's just going to be able to absolutely obliterate you. Has the Black Cleaver now, has the Hull Breaker. In a 1 versus 1, he's an absolute monster.
Yeah, you're really not going to be able to touch him, and it seems like there is no answer for the side of TG Nocturne. They tried to push the mid lane turret, they tried to force something, but they couldn't, and they are going to have to find something else if they all want to try and push that now, as it's going to be Paragon 6 who are now going to look to force down this mid turret, and with Ace over there, it looks like they're going to get it, as Obsessed is going to flash into these, and that is not what you want, but it's a very deep dive from the side of P6, and it looks like they are the ones who are going to be in trouble. Hobo Lord is going to fall. They do get Obsessed Legacy in the end, but it is for 2 members of the Roam.
And it's a bit of an overzealous dive, but I don't think the play stops here. It looks like TG Nocturne's looking to push through, get something onto the mid lane, and luckily, I don't think they have a team that can take Baron really quickly. It's going to take them a while. LeBlanc's still alive, so they're not going to get much here, but it does alleviate a little bit of pressure for themselves.
It definitely does. And you can see both these teams really putting a lot of effort on trying to get this mid lane. And we know how important it is to get that mid lane turret down. It just opens up the map immensely for you. And I feel like, especially, of course, someone like Sir Jonjo who just wants to split push, it could be really good for them. Once again, finds himself in a little bit of a scrap. But at this point, he is just too strong to be called out like that.
An absolute monster. And the one thing that you always want to point out in things like this, if a play is made on one point in the map, what is being lost? So we see all 5 members were committed from this TG Nocturne's team, and what did they lose? Well, they're losing Sidewave XP, and it's really going to start to be noticed. Sir Jonjo already a leveled up. Helicon probably going to be a level up soon as well. They keep picking up these side waves, and it means a lot because everyone always talks about gold, but levels super important, not only for the abilities, but you're looking at around 400 gold worth of stats. So that is a huge amount to be up when you think about it in a 1 versus 1.
Yeah, and we talked about it, right? Look at this, 2 levels for Sir Jonjo. It's not even just a slight lead, it's a really big lead, and 60 CS up ahead as well on this Ornn, and just a great performance from Sir Jonjo despite that scrappy, first moment. He made it up immediately with a teleport, and it just kind of has to stand there and watch and sit there and hope that his team does something, because he's not going to be able to stop this monster, especially not as his dragon is coming up when Sir Jonjo just has the wave pressure all over the map.
The only worry is that Sir Jonjo's got wave pressure on the bot side. If he had wave pressure on the top side now, it would be super important, but Helicon is up there, doesn't have the same split pushing power, but an engage coming through now.
Yeah, Fracharin is going very aggressive. Hobolord is going to fight his way out, but is it going to be enough? A lot of damage coming out. This flash is going to come in as well. There comes the damage, and it is just an absolute explosion from the side of P6. Sir Jonjo is here, baby, and he is a monster. That's a double kill, looking for the potential triple. Is it going to be him who picks it up? It will be Viking for a double kill for himself, and it's a 1-team fight for P6.
And Urgot, more like God in that one, absolutely popping off from Sir Jonjo. Finds a huge flank and just obliterates the damage dealers. Dives straight onto Hairy Grandmother, goes, I don't care, Hairy Grandmother's dying, flashes on top of them, bursts them out, and they're going to get so much from this dragon. Tier 1 mid, wave pressure in top and bot, and it means that they can now move their vision into that top side and look for Baron in the coming minutes.
And they're going to get the tier 2 turret, likely on top of that as well. Just so much won here by Paragon 6. A 5,000 gold lead now, which is only going to be more now that his turret has fallen down. And yeah, as you said, it's going to make it easier for them to set up this Baron, this mid lane turret, of course. 2 of them down means there is a lot of pressure on Nocturne to try and get themselves back into this game. Because, now that the vision control is also not going to be in your advantage, and you are the team who needs to pick out them, it's going to be very, very hard to find those picks.
And the benefit is they do have a Lux and a Kai'Sa. They are, out of the champions in their respective roles, some of the longest range engage carries, I would say. Because Kai'Sa, obviously, she doesn't have huge range like Caitlyn or anything like that, but she can follow up from engages from a massive while away. That final spark from Lux, if Vermouth and Frucarian can lock someone up, they absolutely can burst them with these huge long-range abilities and a Kai'Sa diving into the backline. But it's got to come from really well-coordinated plays. They can't split their damage. They need to focus who they want to and try win these fights after killing one of Viking or Helicon. But the only issue comes then is Sir Jonjo's so strong, and who's ever going to deal with him?
I mean, look at him in the bot lane. He's on the Nexus turret, or not the Nexus turret, on the inhibitor turret right now. And yes, of course, under the turret, so Jonjo is not going to be able to take down Itcop, but he is going to be someone who will always be troublesome to deal with for the side of TG Nocturne. And, you know, they just cannot really win when Sir Jonjo is around. And with that teleport up, he's just going to be able to pressure, although it looks like he might just look to join his team for now, and maybe then teleport after later. But you can see that TG Nocturne are trying their hardest to remove any possible vision from the map because, as we talked about, they need to find a pick.
And it's good from them to be able to move this vision up and make sure that their jungle is clear, because it secures some camps for Frucarian on the top side. It means that you can move freely between lanes and better defend your turret. And I feel like it's a mistake from Paragon to let this happen. You're so much stronger. You have good wave pressure. You just need to push those waves in and move into the jungle. There's absolutely nothing they can do about it to stop you, because if they go for a fight, you just obliterate them right now with your superior team composition. And the only sort of thing that they're looking for right now is Jonjo. Jonjo is pushing in those bot waves again, constantly putting pressure out, and it means that Idco is constantly having to move down there, having to clear these waves, and it leaves out an engage option for them in this top side.
Yeah, it does. And what it tells me a little bit might just be the fact that they kind of are uncertain, you know? I mean, they've lost 4 games in a row, and they are just haven't been looking that good when it came to this tournament so far. So perhaps, you know, even though they are stronger, they're just trying to play it safe over here, as I think we have a bit of a lag, but that might just be from the early longer pause, so it won't be too much of a problem. It will soon start continuing, but it just feels like they might lack that confidence despite the fact that they are strong, because they are not used to playing into a lead. And it's going to be the confidence from the side of Nocturne as they go for a big engage, and Sir Jonjo is down, and that is the big raid boss you need to kill in order to win these fights. Ace is now going to try and run away as Overlord. They're completely being split up. It's a killing spree for the Ornn, and now Viking is completely on his own as well. That's going to be another easy pickup for TG Nocturne, and they just absolutely decimate Paragon.
And it looks like it's going to be Baron after that, but it's what we spoke about. If they find a target, commit all their damage onto that target, they can burst someone out. And the important part was, Helicon was nowhere to be found. Helicon, hovering around in that topside river, wasn't near the fight at all. If Helicon was there, Hairy Grandmother was pretty much in the entire team. You could have double distortioned, one-shot that champion, or at worst, killed Obsessed Legacy, who was on their own in the mid lane. But Helicon wasn't there, and it was really good play. It's this vision control that they've garnered for themselves. TG Nocturne showing that they know how to play the map. They swept out their top side, and then from the fog of war, they look for a huge engage onto Sir Jonjo, burst him out, and then it leads onto more and more kills, which then secures them a Baron and has left them at an even point in the game.
Yeah, and you talked about how they shouldn't even be allowed to do that since Paragon 6 were so strong, and yet, you know, they were allowed to just get that vision, set up some plays there, and because Sir Jonjo stepped over a little bit, they were able to catch him out, as now, Vermouth has to be careful himself as well, of course, because there's 3 members of Paragon 6 over here, but looks like both teams are trying to set up for this Dragon, and of course, it is going to be the side of Paragon 6 looking to get themselves on Soul Point, because they might have the scaling advantage, and if they can get themselves that soul later on, it's going to be hard to come back from us. Now, Itcot might be in a little bit of trouble, so Jonjo not going to go any further on that though, but you can see both teams are looking for a play.
They are setting up vision now. So many wards, so many traps from this Jhin, but it's being swept out instantly, and this Paragon side isn't in a position to defend their vision right now. They don't know what they want to do. I think what they need to do is stop them from getting in on either choke. Start this Dragon, force them to try walk into the river and engage on them there, but they're moving towards this bot side. It does leave Helicon on a flank though. He can burst someone out if he chooses to.
Wonderful wards.
Ward.
Wonderful ward as Charian is going for the engage, and it's going to be the ultimate, and Viking is dead! Once again, they got the burst on the important member. Sir Jonjo, though, is still alive, but Charian is winning his 1v1 so far, but you've got to be careful now. There comes the fear, and it's a close fight so far, but it's still way too much for them to deal with on the side of Paragon 6. They are getting decimated, and Vermouth is just 1v1ing the support, and the mid laner and is just working out. It is a 4-4-2 for the side of TG Nocturne.
Leona's so broken. Like, nerf that champion. As if Leona can 1 versus 1 a LeBlanc at half HP. That's just too insane. He just sticks on her. It's like, I don't know. It's like, what's a good analogy here? Is it like I was about to say jelly on butter. That makes zero sense at all. But
jelly on butter.
like butter on toast, I guess would be the better one. Stick something like jelly on butter.
Oh my God.
I mean,
I feel like it's the opposite of sticking, so I feel like it just slides off. It's like the worst thing you could have.
Look, okay, analogies are my strong point. I big brain it, okay? I don't make the jokes. That's what you're here for. I set you up and then you make the joke. Give me an analogy, man.
Oh no! You just can't just put me on the spot like that. No. No. You can't put me on the spot like that. I can't give you an analogy like that. I'm just going to work with the jelly and butter. I actually really like that one, and it's definitely something I'm going to remember now because it's not going out of my head. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, but you're going to use it for the opposite reason. You're going to be like, and he kites out of there, sliding away like jelly on butter.
Yeah, that would be the right way to use it. But I feel like using it the wrong way should be canon now. You know, like. You've used it this way, it has to be this way, but oh my lord, getting back a little bit again.
It's because I saw Zach, so I got confused, okay?
You just got hungry, I get it, it's fine, you know. Make sure you have some good dinner before, you know.
Good dinner?
Not necessarily jelly on butter, but I like jelly, I like butter, just not together, I feel like. They just don't work. That's why this analogy probably didn't work either, because they just don't work as food together as well, as we now see the side of TG Nocturne. Once again, grouping up towards its mid lane, looking to get their first mid turret down, but Ace is looking for an engage, but it's not going to look for it now.
Nothing gonna happen there. They do get that first turret and they're slowly clawing themselves back in. It went from about a 6k gold deficit into only a 400 to 300 gold deficit, which is looking really good for you. And I spoke about it before. We said if Paragon plays their comp how they should, then they should be able to win. But at the moment they're not. Then it's really difficult to play a comp like this because you can't just run in from the front. You've got to find flanks. Helicon needs to go in at the same time as Sir Jonjo. You need to force them into these situations where they're having to split apart and they can't just focus one target. Whereas right now, they're not setting up the correct vision control. They're not grouping as this tanky units of Rel and Zac that can protect the Jhin and play around him, which means that they're just getting caught out.
Yeah, speaking of being caught out, Idcot now is forced to flash away from Sir Jonjo. The slow is still there, but it's going to be enough. That is a flash, of course, from the Ornn, just for free picked up by Sir Jonjo, and that just still shows the fact that, yes, he might have been caught out in those fights and might have had a lot of trouble. He is still a very strong Urgot.
Got that Titanic Hydra, Stride Breaker and Black Cleaver. There is nothing Idcot can do but run away and pray that they can survive. So Jonjo is just going to keep pushing onto this one. Doesn't have any vision, but I feel like at this point it doesn't really matter. You've got bot wave pressure, you've got mid wave pressure, which means that you should always be able to see where people are. Because if they're not catching that mid wave, then they're kind of just running it down anyway. So you're absolutely fine with that. If they decide to give up mid, top wave, and bot wave just to kill you, then you're kind of achieving your goal as the split pusher at that point. But we're going to see them move out on the map together. Really nice from this. I like when teams base together because it means that you all come on the map together. You can push tempo as you want. But I don't like the fact that Sir Jonjo's coming up here. Has teleport, can join a fight, and especially when they've went Hull Breaker and are so strong in a side wave, I feel like it's a big mistake to put Helicon down here instead.
Yeah, it feels a bit weird, and especially a LeBlanc who can also, maybe catch out someone from the side of TG Nocturne. It feels very illogical, really. It's also not one of the fastest pushing mid laners. Just everything about it doesn't sit very right. But, perhaps Paragon 6 are trying something else, and maybe it will work. But TG Nocturne are going to win the vision battle for now, as they are grouped up. As you said, they are stacked, and in fact, they're going to start this Baron.
dying the Baron, but it is spotted. The team is going to be able to group up. Helicon has the TP. We'll have to see what comes from this one as the Jhin ult is used.
Yeah, a lot of damage coming out from the Jhin. Helicon is in the backline, but it's going to be Ascendant going into the middle, and they get the catch on the Kai'Sa, and that surely should be it. A great ultimate from Obsessed Legacy. They get the shutdown. 2 kills going over to the side of TG Nocturne, but will it be enough? Obsessed is completely stuck into the Baron pit. Will be the next one to go, but they do get the Jhin. It is still a fight looking good for TG Nocturne, and Helicon is the only one alive. Can he do it on his own? A great interrupt from Charian will make sure that Vermouth will not fall, and the ace comes out for TG Nocturne.
Oh, and it was so close. It was just on the edge of being super good, but they really hard commit onto Harry Grandmother, which, yes, is what they needed to do. And they are able to kill Obsessed Legacy as well, but they used so much, and Sir Jonjo went down. I feel like he's the key part of this team comp right now. The one person that can actually kill tanks. And what worries me is, when I just sort of look across at the builds of these members, it feels like they don't understand what their roles are. We've got Helicon, who's built a load of penetration, gone for that Void Staff, but Helicon, your job isn't to be able to kill these tanks. That is Sir Jonjo's job. Your job is to just burst Obsessed Legacy, find Harry Grandmother, and just kill them. Building Void Staff's not going to help you because you're never really going to be able to DPS these tanks down. Yeah, great, you do an extra 100 damage, so now you do 150 damage instead of 50 damage. Well done you, whoop-de-doo, but you can't fill your role in a team fight because we saw there, it took the entire rotation to kill Obsessed Legacy, but Helicon should be pretty much able to use 3 abilities. QRW should kill Obsessed Legacy at this point in the game, but they're just not able to do it because of the build.
Yeah, it's a classic thing we of course see a lot when the lower elo games come in, is that the builds, it is so important that you don't lose games to the shopkeep, and right now it kind of feels like that for Paragon 6 as once again they're trying to set up vision, but just like last time, especially after this one fight, TG Nocturne are going to be winning that battle for now, and it's just going to be even harder. The more they lose those team fights, the harder it's going to be. And you know, they finally found it. We talked about it. They finally found the Kai'Sa pick. But if that is not enough to win a team fight, then how do you win it? Well, they might have to look for something around this Baron.
They're so tanky. They just tanked this up. It's at 6k already as the engage is going to come through from the Zac.
Ace goes in, but he's completely on his own, and well, yeah, that is just a passive pop, my friend. Where is the rest of the team? Helicon is not there. Helicon is gone, but Sir Jonjo on his own might be able to take them down. He's doing so much damage. Is going to get the Kai'Sa, not in time, and it is a 3v5. And now Paragon 6, you might have to back away for Charian. Might be able to die, but even for that, the LeBlanc doesn't have the damage. He just cannot kill anyone. And Viking pops the curtain call, but you cannot just stand there and take all those hits. Overlord is going to be the sacrificial lamb, and it's a 4-0 for the side of TG Nocturne.
Helicon's like a dog at a butcher's shop, just goes for the juiciest meat, which looks to be the Ornn in that one, but you can't kill that. You can't kill that, it's just so tanky. There's Harry Grandmother that's literally 200 HP within your W range, and you go on top of a tank instead. My brain, it
just feels like they're just all on the same page.
You know, that's what it really feels videos like. Where like a dog is given one treat, and it's like, oh, if they take that one treat, but if they leave that one treat, they can get a whole bowl of food.
Oh yeah, but they will take the treat.
Exactly.
They will take the treat.
There's a player that just takes the one treat, and then he turns around and there's a whole bowl of food right next to him of Obsessed Legacy, Harry Grandmother, both of which you had not many cooldowns for that fight. There was a flash from Harry Grandmother, but when he's 200 HP, it doesn't really matter. And it's just really frustrating to see a team comp that was so far ahead that when played well, when executed to a high level, can absolutely dominate this enemy team, but they're just not on the same page. They're not sure what they're trying to do. Sir Jonjo diving the backline alone. If only one more person is there with him, I think that's a win team fight there, but they're just not able to pull it together on this one.
Yeah, just not on the same page really, right? Because Helicon just wasn't there, and then what do you even do when you lose your main damage? And
good stuff, buddy. Really great void stuff. so much damage to that Ornn right now. Look at this.
Look at the ult attacks. You don't even see the health move when the ult attacks come out.
He's healing more damage than Helicon's even doing, and I'm really loving this voice.
Is this like jelly on a cushion? Like it feels like really nothing is happening. It's even worse. Like it's so useless right now. It's just the side of teacher Nocturne. They're just going for free. Wow, that's a really good cleanse coming out from Viking. But look at the burst. Hobolord is down, and they are so confident they're looking for a dive, and honestly they can, because Sir Jonjo is dead. Helicon wants to get laid to the fray, and the team is split up, and there's just no damage coming out. They can't even get the support. Well, the shutdown does come out there with the curtain call, but at what cost? Ace is dead. You cannot back there, Viking. You are over dead. You are dead, my dude, and the game is gone over to TG Nocturne.
No, oh, it was just such a horror, and it's just such a shame, because I feel like they were playing around their comp so well in the first 20 minutes. They were getting such big leads, but then it just shows that the reason TJ Nocturne is the team that has 2 wins and Paragon's the team that has 4 losses. They just weren't able to pull that one out in the end, and it really showed how team synergy and knowing what your win conditions are can be a much better benefit than simple draft advantage.
Yeah, well, make that 3 wins and 5 losses right now for the side of Paragon 6. They are going to have to pull out something crazy out of the bag in order to bring this one back. But yeah, as you said, right, it's a good game from them. They had a good early 20 minutes, but if they cannot even do it with a composition, then what do they need to bring in the next game in order to turn this around?
Go back to really simple to execute compositions. Stuff like Orianna Nocturne, stuff that can just wombo combo, throw an Alistair in there, throw a Ziggs in there, just loads of stuff where you can pretty much all press your R button and just win fights that way. I feel like it's the easiest thing that always works within Valence League. The team that goes easiest to pick champions that can all just throw skills on top of each other is the team that will normally win, and we saw it from this team, this Nocturne Gaming side. A lot of it was just a load of CC that you just all press R on one target and Lux can't miss, and when you can't miss on Lux, your abilities become really overpowered.
Yep, easy to pick champions and pressing R to win. That seems to be the name of the game for Paragon 6 if they want to bring it back. But before we're going to see the next games in this best of 3, we're going to go into a quick break. But don't go anywhere, plenty of League of Legends to come. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Valence League split number 3, Division 1B, where we are in the best of 3 between TG Nocturne and Paragon 6. TG Nocturne, am I allowed to call it a bit of a win streak now that they've gone 3 games in a row? Like, this should be allowed to be called a win streak right now, right? As they are 1-0 over to Paragon in this series. And Paragon, they're going to have to find something magical if they want to bring this back.
I mean, magical is definitely the word for it. Maybe something like a Vigar? Or gotta fit the theme. Okay, he's a wizard.
For some reason, I thought of Zillion, but I don't think he's a wizard. That's not...
I mean, he is a wizard. He's a time wizard.
I guess so. Well, time. Well,
I mean, if they had Zillion,
again.
Zillion, and maybe they rewind.
Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case for Paragon 6.
This is you see. You're like, oh, I had a bug. Chrono break. My rank W just wasn't what. Shopkeeper just sold me void staff when I was clicking on Rabadons. I got grief.
If only we could turn back time to the good old days. That's kind of the song that Paragon 6 might be listening to right now.
There's a bug that void staff just came into my inventory when I was trying to buy anything else.
Yeah, I was looking for the death cap, but what is this? This item just came up to me and wanted me to buy it. So I was like, all right, losing to the shopkeeper. But right now we're going to get ourselves into the next pick and ban phase once again. Paragon 6 on the red side, and so far looks like the same bans have gone out. But if we're looking for a switch when it comes to the banning phase, it has to be from Paragon 6, you'd have to say.
Definitely. And like I said, just before we went to this break, Paragon 6, I would have looked for them to pick a simpler comp, one that doesn't need to be so hard to execute. They played super well in that early game. I think you can do the exact same thing. If Sir Jonjo gets a strong matchup again, I think he can absolutely bully Idco. He was playing super well in that top lane. Same as their bot lane was playing super well there. And mid lane was winning as well. But just instead of picking champions that are hard to work together, just pick champions that can still have that same thing but synergize together. Get a win condition. Whether that win condition is we go all in, we fight 5 versus 5 front to back, or whether we wombo combo, press all our R buttons, have something that's super easy, super simple to execute. Not a team comp where you have to play around split pushing, play around a load of different stuff. But the first thing picked up is going to be that Sejuani again. And I've just noticed that Paragon's opted to play in that red side this game.
Yeah, so clearly not afraid of this first pick coming out. And, well, it was the Kaiser last time, and the Sejuani is still open as well, so that will be picked up next. Now, they can look to take that Kaiser away, but I wonder if that is going to be the way that Paragon 6 want to go for this. But hopefully, we're going to see some more easier to execute. But the Zac once again going to be the pick here for Ace. Now, hopefully this time around, there's going to be a bit more synergy to go with that.
And I find it so funny. Only in VL would you see Jinx, Ahri, Wukong banned, as well as Morgana banned, and then see Sejuani and Zac as the first two junglers picked. Like, Gwen's up, Viego's up, Rumble's up, but a Vayne on Viking. I mean, it makes sense. Vikings played a lot of Vayne, can be good on that champion, and he's basically going, go on then, pick all tanks, do it. Yeah. But I feel like it's a very big ask when they've only locked in one tank, so they can still go a team full of assassins against you.
It's very early into the draft phase, this Vayne. You tend to see it coming into the second round, but it is here in the first round. And yep, that Kai'Sa once again going to be picked up, and so far it just looks like the side of TG Nocturne think, well, you know what? This worked out last time. Let's just go for the same thing. And I wouldn't be surprised if Obsessed Legacy is going to pick up something that we've seen before as well.
Yeah, the Vel'Koz is available this game. Lux is available, but can save it to try get a possible counter pick. Probably not going to happen because they are on blue side, but I expect them to pick up support here. But as I say that, I might be countered Silas. Now, that is a strange pickup because you've
also
only seen... but you've only seen Vaynel and Zakult, two of which aren't the greatest ults for Silas. Zakult's okay, the AP scaling is alright, the CC is good to have, but compared to like waiting until you see something like a Malphite and Alistair, something where you can really pop off with that, and going to be playing into Lucian as well, that is a hard lane to win.
It just feels like that's the punishment for picking it this early, right? Like that Lucian just feels like he's just there to say, hey, I'm your punishment, and just comes in and now he's just going to crush this lane. At least that's what we'd hope to see from the side of Helicon, because he was able to do that before with the LeBlanc, and this is definitely a lane that he should feel comfortable in as well.
I mean, I'm half tempted to like ask Helicon if he's watching the stream, and then I'll tell him what to build. And I'll tell you now, it's not going to be Lord Dominic's friend. Like, what you want to go? You've got Vayne. I don't know if you've seen recently the absolutely busted Lucian builds. You've either got the Eclipse into Sorelda's Grudge into Black Cleaver, or you've got Divine Sunderer also into Sorelda's Grudge, also into Black Cleaver, but you become so tanky with that Divine Sunderer build, you pretty much can't die. You can frontline, you get to 3k health, and then you just kill everything. But if Helicon opts to go into AD carry Lucian, I think I'm going to lose my mind.
Oh no. Well, we'll see if that is going to happen. I hope you do not lose your mind, because I fear for the analogies that are to come in that if that's the case. But we're going to see now as the last bans have come through. The support bans coming out from the side of the Paragon 6. Well, of course, Set could be the top lane as well. And the Gnar and Kennen once again being taken away from TG Nocturne. As now the Thresh is being hovered and picked here for the side of Paragon 6. And they are basically saying, if you guys want to go for an engaged support, we got the Thresh to flay that away.
Oh, I like that rhyme. That was really nice. Flay that away. I just heard it. I was like, wow. That's like an advert for Thresh. Are you struggling in bot lane? Would you like to make sure that that supports don't one-shot your AD carry? Well, you can flay that pain away. I mean, on that note, Ornn going to be locked on the flip side. Pretty much a similar comp to what they had before. Taric, that's wild. I mean, especially when you're playing into something like Vayne Lucian, they want to output consistent DPS. Taric can negate that for a couple of seconds while you just completely turn a team fight around, and has decent matchups into Thresh as well, and we'll see that one locked in. Yeah, I feel like the only issue is you kind of ever struggle to use your abilities into Vayne Thresh, because Thresh, obviously, as soon as he sees you channeling, can flay you away and walk out of it. Vayne has that condemned to get them away, so you can never really stun this Vayne. So lane's going to be really hard to do anything. But getting out of lane phase is super strong, but a Poppy now.
Oh, that makes you happy, because I am a Poppy lover. Yes, I know Riven is all my thing and all that, but Poppy, I have played Poppy so much in Season 6, and I, for 2 weeks, was #1 Poppy in the world, you know?
But now you get super close to the mic for that. It's like you're trying to whisper.
It was weird. I wanted to whisper, and then I got closer, and then I didn't whisper, and it just became really, really awkward. So I'm just not going to try and do anything like that ever again. But it will be the Poppy into the Ornn, and well, I do know a bit about this matchup, but it's not necessarily the most interesting matchup, of course, to see. But you know, it's definitely an interesting pick, if anything.
It's just Poppy beating up Ornn for as much as she can, and Ornn can't really retaliate. Has that steadfast presence to block any of the dashes that Ornn ever wants to counter engage, so they're pretty much just left slapping each other over and over again. And Poppy, you would expect, pretty much always wins out in those kind of matchups. She's super good in extended trades, procs that Q multiple times, gets these grass procs if that's what she goes for. And I do think the only issue is that Poppy is going to have a difficult time doing much in these team fights. She's pretty much just going to be a kite bot. She's going to be sitting on top of this Vayne and this Lucian, using that steadfast presence to keep the Sylas, Kai'Sa, and Sejuani and Ornn away from them, and then using that ultimate to kite a little bit more. So it's going to be really boring to play for Jonjo. But if Jonjo can play it right, double AD carry, especially when you're playing into Kai'Sa, Sylas, if you can kite them out, can be super good.
And, well, yeah, as you said, right, Poppy's ultimate is definitely a way to not just guide them out, but just kind of remove people from the team fight if need be. So even if Lucian and Vayne get dove, she can completely push them away and turn the tides of a team fight. But what this does require is team fight coordination. And one thing we haven't really seen yet from Paragon 6 is team fight coordination. Because, yes, the early game looks strong and they were able to get themselves a significant lead, but they're going to have to do it in those mid-game and late-game team fights as well.
I don't know what to say. Yeah, I mean, it's just what you said is pretty much completely true. They just, if they get an early lead, they need to win late game as well. It's all about killing that Nexus, baby. And if you can't get that extra gold at the end of it, then what's the point of even playing? It's like, oh, but we were beating them for 30 minutes straight. But yeah, but who killed the Nexus? Like, it wasn't you guys. It was the other team. So. I mean, at the end of the day, you can feel as good about it as you want, but Void stuff's a little bit and your Nexus died, so it's not.
What build would you recommend to build in order to beat down that Nexus as fast as you can?
Not Void Staff, especially on Lucian. I feel like that would be a bit of a worry if we see Void Staff Lucian, then there's something more going wrong. I feel like then it is a bug. Actually, if we see
proxy draft bugs at that point, I feel like there's no way.
If we see Void Staff Lucian, then it explains the game before, because it's definitely a bug that's just went horribly wrong, and it's like, I can't build anything else. I have to go Void Staff second item no matter what.
It's just you look at the recommended page, and it just doesn't do anything other than Void Staff. It's just like, buy it, please, and you just can't go with those. I don't know what
Lucian.
I can't believe what recommended.
But to talk about all seriousness, what they're looking to do this game is pretty much on the side of let's talk about TG Nocturne, because once again they've went with a super easy to execute comp. You take Ornn, you take Sejuani, you throw everything on the enemy team, and you let Sylas and Kai'Sa clean up. And it's even more benefited by the fact that you have a Taric now, which means that if you flub that engage, if you just fly in there, Taric can always get you out. It keeps you alive for that extra little second, and an enemy team can't fight into you when you have Taric active, because you're always going to lose that trade. So it's really smart from them to pair Taric with these constant divers, because you know what, I feel like this is a small interaction that people hardly ever talk about. Taric is actually so good if he's like not in a fight and you're doing an objective, because all he does is he just slaps Baron over and over again, spamming Q, just healing your team permanently, just slapping Baron, healing team, slapping Baron, healing team, and he can't dive to it because he's healing constantly, and the amount of health that comes out is just absolutely insane. Like I don't know why more people don't talk about this, because it's cracked to see sometimes. But because carry on, sorry.
I mean, the question is, do we see it a lot when it comes to this kind of elo? Because that's also something we got to keep in mind. Of course,
it also means a fight needs to last long enough, and obviously Taric's auto attacks are better on a champion. But before we go into that, we have to obviously take our pause at 10, sync up all together, and we're waiting for you, Mr. Blaze, to take us away.
Yep. And there we go. We're going to get ourselves into game through. Wow, that's definitely very interesting. Game 2.
What they did for it last game. So
definitely through. It might be more fitting than I thought it was, but that's definitely not. Hopefully, we won't see that from Paragon 6 this time around, because in order to stay into it, they need to win this game and the next game. It could be the potential last one as we're going to still see TG Nocturne on the blue side versus Paragon 6 on the red side. And this time around, both teams are just going to do the standard thing and look at the junglers.
Even talk to me about it. I don't want to hear it. Deja vu. They literally just did the same thing again. And he's just walks to his top side, and they see him walk up, and then he puts his ward there anyway. Oh, the brain! Like, why use the ward if you're not going to ward straight away and base for that oracles, which Sejuani did. Oh my, thank the Lord for that. But if you're not going to do that, then why place the ward? Because you could use the ward later on in river or something.
A quick disclaimer to all the people watching. A quick disclaimer. If this Lucian ends up building either Void Staff or AD carry, I fear for Snowspy. I'm just saying I'll try and calm him down. We're going to do our best, but please continue, Snowspy, because once again, the junglers are starting on the opposite sides of the map. Basically a mirror, a deja vu of what we've seen the last game.
Definitely so, and once again, I'm expecting a similar situation. Zach walks down to bot lane, and the benefit is you've got an easier lane to gank because Taric isn't the same tank that Leona is. He can't press a W and have a million different resistances, can't proc that aftershock as went with that Guardian, so if you can get on top of him, it's going to be so strong. And we see Hobo Lord doing the right thing right now, getting bush control, but he's into a melee matchup. Go slap him about a bit. Show him business. Yeah, show him what's what. Yeah, you hit them minions.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's hitting the minions. It doesn't really hurt the side of Harry Grandmother and Firmath too much. Well, they are going to get the level 2 first, and yet Flate is there. The hook does go wide, though, so only a little bit of damage on Vermouth is all they are going to get.
No, Hobo! What was that? Like, Vermouth literally ran it down into him. Like, just sprinted past him. And they could have just turned and killed him. He's not tanky at all. Like, he's got no aftershock or anything. But he was like, I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna show Harry Grandmother that I'm the bee's knees. I'm gonna land this hook and everyone's gonna applaud me. And Toki's gonna scream my name and be so hype. But in reality, now he just gets me talking about him, and that's not the situation he wants.
No, you know something is wrong when the collar gets to do all the talking about you. As now, there's going to be another fight this time around. He does go for Vermouth. The exhaust comes out, but the kill is not there. Hobolord and Viking are there. Ace is there to follow up, but Vermouth is already way too far away. And sorrily enough, wow, we're still not going to scream Hobolord's name in getting that gank right.
But that's exactly, imagine if that happened level 1, that would have been a dead Taric, and really well played from him to realise it on the level 2 and change their targets now. You know, Vermouth has used both his pots, is going to have that sustain later on, and now Hobo Lord can just constantly fish for these hooks, throw out an angry bee, but another gank into the mid lane. This is the same pathing that we saw from Frukian last time, but it's been spotted out by Helicon.
Yeah, and it's also, once again, just like a LeBlanc, pretty hard to gank because Helicon is not really far pushed up, and it kind of means that Fritarian is wasting some time now trying to look towards the top side of the map, so Jonjo doesn't have a ward, so might potentially be caught out, but it's still in a relatively safe spot, and with that W, honestly, should be in no trouble, and yeah, there it is, just going to be able to walk away.
Yeah, how do you ever gank this Poppy with Steadfast Presence? There's no way. Like, I feel like Frukiarian at this point needs to realise Ornn's going to be fine in that matchup. He's not going to solo kill, but he shouldn't get solo killed either. It should just be two tanks slapping each other. He needs to divert a lot of pressure to this mid lane to help save that matchup. Sylas naturally going to be going down because it's melee into ranged, and additionally to that, it's an AD carry who can constantly hit him. So this is the right move now. Help him push out the wave.
Yeah, and Helicon now they're actually just going to go for the kill. Helicon is forced to flash, can turn around a little bit of damage on Obsessed Legacy, but yeah. Well, actually, you said put help push down the wave. That's actually not really happening, and Helicon might be able to kind of make this wave even worse for Obsessed Legacy.
And it's not only that, it's stolen away a bit of XP, so Helicon going to be able to get that culling first, most likely. Now, almost up 20 CS, about 16 at the moment, going super well in that lane. And we're looking at Helicon to see what they can do as this goes later, because it's the similar situation last game. They were abusing Obsessed Legacy hard, winning that 1 versus 1, but we didn't see that transition into mid-game, and especially didn't see it transition into that late game.
Yeah, I just had a personal moment real quick with this ward in the top lane for Jonjo. It's like, you see your enemy back, like there's no reason to put this down here right now, but you know, it happens every now and then. But now in the mid lane, finally we see Ace looking to go over there. He's going to jump in, but yeah, it's a little bit too overzealous.
Absolutely destroyed that minion though, like that minion really feeling the pain. If you're that minion, if you're I've not even thought about this. Imagine you're a minion and you're like a backline caster, and you have to walk forward and see all your friends be obliterated by this giant thing that's like 20 foot tall and just absolutely crushes your friends. And then you just have to be like, "Yep, I guess I suicide into it now."
I've never looked at League in this way. It's very
just
sad.
It's 10 people committing genocide. Like, what is this? These poor minions.
Like, do they know once they run out of base? Like, are they walking out of base knowing their fate? Like, they are going to die because they will continue to push. They aren't split pushing as now the calling has come out in the mid lane. So Jones are going for a bit of a trade on it caught, but not really working out to do anything. But yeah, it's quite sad to see, to think about as now. S11 is going to go in. It's a flash play from Hoverlord. Beautifully done. The hook is there as well. Fantastic play from Hoverlord. I will shout your name, my friend, but you got to get the kill at least. First blood is there for the Vayne. And there is the passive on the Zac. But Sir Jonjo has already entered the fray. The Flash E is not going to stun someone, but they might have the damage to turn this around. That comes to keep its verdict. And the hook is beautiful once again. Hobo Lord, you are beautiful. But the calling in the mid lane almost gets the kill, but it will not be enough.
And now Hobo Lord gets the good part of me talking about him.
Yes, you do.
This is where I talk about how absolutely cracked he was in that play. I feel like he took it personally, what I was saying earlier, because he played fight to perfection. Lands the first hook, secures the kill on Vermouth, and then lanterns his AD carry out of there to ensure that there's no reverse trade that can come through, then walks on through, lands the hook onto Hairy Grandmother after the flash. Just beautiful thresh play there to secure the team 2 kills. Exactly. That was, if you turn the name tags off there and told me that's a diamond player, I'd be like, yeah, sure. Yeah,
I believe that. Oh, that's Mickey X. Yeah, I get that. I see that. You know, like,
fuck, because if it's Mickey X, then he misses flash flare and then throws up an emote and he XDs it.
Yeah, that's true. So I was going to say Hillsang, maybe that's kind of the same case. So Hillsang was kind of the first play of Hobo Lord, more something like that. But yeah, it was really nicely played, and it's very good to see from Paragon 6. And once again, they get themselves this early lead. But the question is, can they actually get that further? Because what we saw last game is just, yes, they got this lead, and yes, you know, their lanes were looking really, really strong, but they just couldn't really push that towards a game win. So, no, they're going to have to try and do something to turn this around and really push this towards getting some early turrets, getting some early objectives, and make it so difficult for Nocturne to come back.
And what's really worrying me, actually, is that Frucarian, for 2 games in a row now hasn't realised what his team's strong lanes are. He's ganked top multiple times, trying to force stuff onto a Poppy where, even if you get the kills, and what's this? That's a bit spicy.
Yeah, all you get is a B for that, really, and not really much more. And you can see Viking is just kind of taunting them now, and S11 is there, so they might be able to possibly turn this around. They know Frucarian does not have the ultimate, so there is a potential play to be made there, but it looks like Ace is going to decide against it for now.
And that's the one point of the game where ganking top makes sense, because there's no objective bot lane. Your bot lane is pushing in, and I guess, yeah, you want to secure the wave, but you don't need to fully commit to a gank to be able to give them the push in. You can just support them and play around them a little bit. But I was going to mention, it's 2 games in a row now where he's playing super heavy towards top side, trying to gank this top laner constantly, and even if these ganks were working out, you're getting kills and gold onto an Ornn. Ornn's not going to properly utilize that compared to a Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa is one of your win conditions along with this Sylas. Ornn is not. Ornn's just going to be a tanky frontliner. He throws up an ult, he gets a bit of engaging, and yeah, we can see, you know, the amount of base damage he can do and how good he can be when he is tanky. But if you let Hairy Grandmother continuously fall behind against Viking, they're going to get so hard outscaled.
They really are going to get outscaled, and so Jonjo is just making it even more difficult for Itzcot to live in this lane for now. Definitely winning that, and as we hit the 10-minute mark, we can start look a little bit, of course, at the wave states in the lanes, because, of course, as we expected, mid lane still looking really, really good for Helicon, kind of like last game, and in the top lane as well, a significant little lead here for Sir Jonjo, as now Hobo Lord Gaming once again with the aggression, the hook hits as well. There is the box and Vermin. This might be a little bit too late for the ultimate, but it's going to be enough after the healing. Viking is going to have to back away, use the cleanse and the flash, and is now potentially trying to turn this one around, but Hairy Grandmother is just doing so much damage. Hobo Lord does miss the death sentence, and that is going to be his life. As Sir Jonjo, a lot of aggression. That might be a little bit too much. The Ornhorn is there, and with the jungler there, that's another kill to the side of TG Nocturne.
Oh, Riot buff Thresh, man, like... It's so sad that the champion, I mean, he has no cooldowns. As soon as he whiffs the flay and isn't able to do much with the hook or the lantern, you're out of the fight for about 15-20 seconds as Thresh. It's really difficult you have to make really good usage out of your spell rotation, otherwise you just can't offer anything but auto attacks. And really well played from Vermouth. We saw right there, it's not quite Baron, but it's the same thing. He's just whacking away at Hobo Lord, healing himself constantly, waiting for that ult to come down, and he can't die. Like, if he's not CC'd, Vermouth literally cannot die. He's got so many heals.
Yeah, and they don't have an ignite either to make up for the fact that the healing is just too much. So it just looks like at that point, you're not going to be able to really win this lane unless you, just like we saw Hobo Lord Gaming do before, get that catch with your jungler nearby when you will have enough damage. As now, he might be the one caught out. Is in the mid lane. Helicon actually forced to back away. The calling comes out from his legacy, but that's not going to be enough to take the kill.
And Rift Herald being taken now by Acidan. I was going to talk about this before, how I would have expected Hobo Lord to roam up towards top lane, but that's really nice, actually. Good interaction, using the pillar to get the knockback, but... Herald being cleared, it is on Acidan. I'm looking to see where they want to snowball. I would personally put this gold. You've got two options. Either put it top lane with Sir Jonjo winning, secure first turret gold, snowball the game really far in your favor globally, or put it bot lane, secure some more plates onto this Vayne, because they need the extra scaling, because right now they're not able to take fights, especially with Tarakult up, so they need a little bit extra.
Yeah, they definitely need a little bit extra, and so Jonjo is trying to look for that extraness, trying to kill Itkotiv, playing very, very aggressively, but of course he can and might potentially force a teleport coming out from Itkot, which would be really good because this dragon is coming up, so I don't know what Itkot's going to do. Yeah, he's just going to decide to stay for now, and you can see the side is split up, and that is going to be a catch for Fracharian. Hobolord has nowhere to go. It's going to flash away, though. The death sentence is going to miss. He is still alive, and now the teleport is coming in, though, and it's still the side of Paragon 6 was split up, and look at this. It's just a fight on 3 quarters, and it will so far be going towards the side of TG Nocturne, and now Viking, though, is on a killing spree. Can he turn this around? The Vayne is going to fall, but the Sejuani will go as well. Helical now is trying to push the damage back on Obsessed Legacy. Ascendant is there as well. As you can see, Sir Jonjo is just making a playground of the back line. But it is going to work for now, as Harry Grandmother is going to be the next one to fall. Vermouth, you might be in trouble as well. This is a very good ultimate coming out from him, but it might just be too little too late. They do get Sir Jonjo. Ace Ended is going to knock them up. Whoops, the Herald in the middle of the fight, as Helicon is surely going to get the final kill there, and it is a 1-team fight for Paragon 6.
And it's a wild team fight win at that. So much went on in there, just a load of back and forth constantly that made that fight happen. We saw first Hobo Lord getting caught out. Flash, really luckily, just came up as they needed it to flash that wall. They were really caught out. On Thresh, normally you want to do what he's doing now. Play back, play for Lantern. Maybe let the Vayne walk a little bit because you can get out. And Flash used, not going to be anything huge. Couple of plates going over, but just to hop back to that fight, really well played from Hobo Lord to actually flash out there and then play around the Lantern and the max range of the hook to be able to support his team still from over that wall. And I feel like it was really scatty. The team fight was pretty much won from the side of TG Nocturne when they got those first couple of kills, and if they could have backed out after that, settled for what they got and go for this dragon, it could have been really good. But they got greedy. They constantly tried to dive to get more, tried to go onto Helicon, tried to push as much as they can, which is something that can be really good about this team, because if they can find those advantages and if you can catch other teams off guard, it can be good, like this right here.
Yeah, Viking now has to use the cleanse to get away, but that is a lot of people to deal with, and surely they are going to be able to find it eventually. The flash is not up. It's just kind of sad to see now. Yeah, the beat is there, the change connect, and Itcod is going to pick that one up.
And Sir Jonjo used ultimate just randomly. I mean, I guess he was going to try charge it up to peel the Vayne, but just I don't think he realizes that you can just let the poppy run out. he just uses it on the ground. He's like, "Oh, screw you guys! You kill my AD carry. You're no fun." And what is he?
Wow, so badly wants to get the passive, but I don't feel like he realized the fact that he was going to take more by getting the shield.
Ooh, shiny.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, I played a little Poppy, and you want to get it, it just feels satisfying for some reason, but that's a little bit too much, wouldn't you think?
And what? That's not where you want the mouth to be.
Hobo Lord, you're on your own, though, that's the thing, and he just gets absolutely blown up. Harry Grandmother just picks up a free kill.
And... yes! He does!
That's just what happened, yeah.
There you go. I mean... Hobo Lord hooked him over onto him, and he was like, "Yes, take me. I want to die in battle."
Literally a death sentence is what it felt like. But then on his side, like it was quite rough. I don't know. It felt a bit odd. We first saw Sir Jonjo go for a crazy thing in the top lane, and now this. Well, hopefully, the team fights look a little bit better, just like they did last time, because. Something that I do want to mention is the kills, when it came to those fights, actually did go to the important members on the side of Paragon 6. You see 3 kills on the Vayne, 3 kills on the Lucian, and it is pretty good that at least the kills went onto these members, because those are going to be the ones to carry them in those fights.
And I'm not going to talk about the build. I'm gonna hold my reservations. I'm gonna hold my reservations, okay? Yes. If you're absolutely cracked on Lucian, like your auto weaving is so good, your use of passive is so good, then it can be a good build, but you have to play so well to get maximum DPS output from that. And when you're playing into Silas and Sejuani and Ornn as a short range carry, it can be devastating. So I'm really looking at Helicon here. He's went the greedy build, so he has to be a greedy player and has to pop off.
Well, speaking of greedy, Hobo once again very deep, and here comes the Tarek ultimate that is going to keep their team alive for a long time, and yeah, you just cannot kill them then, with Ace and Viking not doing enough damage, and so Jonjo is actually looking to get a solo kill on the top lane. Harry Grandmother is in trouble, looked like to be taking a tower shot. Viking is going to pick that one up, not going to look for the dive, rather going to turn around on Vermouth. Good dodge there on the stun, and that's going to be another kill to the Vayne, and Viking is starting to get really strong now.
And if this Nocturne side wins fights quickly, what's happened here? So Jonjo he'd got like no health, and then
I feel like.
And no, he's no health. I don't even know what's going up there. Let's ignore that. I just don't want to know anymore. It's just got too crazy for me. But to hop into that mid lane, if this Tarek comp can find kills during that Tarek ultimate, I don't even know what to do here. Do we talk about this?
I feel like something is going to happen. That's the thing, right? Oh, God. Yeah, okay. Gets the shield. Well, perhaps he can turn around. Yeah, that should be it for Sir Jonjo. Just needs to get the auto attack, and it will be there. The 1v1 eventually goes to Sir Jonjo.
It got through his Q into the wall. Oh, no. If he hits the Q on Sir Jonjo there, that's a kill, but just that slight thing made it so Sir Jonjo able to get the solo kill, but it engaged in bot lane.
Yeah, Helicon does manage to get away with the Guild Force as well. Fancy feat. Penguin puts on the top hat, or well, takes it off rather, and he will get out safely, as now that means Ace is going to look towards his next Herald.
And I'm going to get like 15 DMs saying Helicon doesn't get out there if he doesn't have Gale Force. Yeah. And I'll be like, yeah, well, I guess, but he also shouldn't be that far without vision, so it's touche. but yeah, the Herald, second Herald, going to be going over to the side of this not with Elite. That's the other game we're supposed to cast. Sorry, guys. We basically got told we were casting one game, and then on the day got told we're casting a different game, and then about 3 hours ago we now got told we're casting this game. So sorry if our prep's a bit weird and we don't remember the teams. This Paragon side have got this Herald, and it is right before Dragon. I feel like now you pop it mid lane, you make it be that extra member. You essentially have it as a 6th person split pushing mid lane, and you secure yourself a free Drake. But not going to use it. Going to save it for later, and they're going to flip at this Dragon with the 5 versus 5.
Yeah, we'll see what is going to happen now. This Dragon Friday teleport has already come in from its cause. It's going to be cancelled though by Sir Jonjo. Nicely done. Not really needed the ultimate. Could just push him away with the E, but I guess just decided to use the ultimate anyway. But that is pretty big, because it does mean Sir Jonjo has to teleport, and here it comes. But oh boy, is there going to be the interrupt on that side? No, it will actually not, and that means they are in numbers advantage. Here comes the engage from Ace, and well, Vermouth is completely alone, and you cannot even pop the ultimate. And look at Harry Grandmother, is just getting one shot here by Sir Jonjo. And Obsessed Legacy now also has to walk away, and this should be a free dragon. And Sir Jonjo is just being annoyance to them, just running through them, but maybe a little bit too far, as now the jungler has entered the phase. Well, he's going to get the kill. Obsessed Legacy won't be able to do enough. Yes, that's going to be the shutdown, but here comes Overlord Gaming. They're going to decide against going for more, but in the end, it's a win for Paragon 6.
So much damage coming through from that Divine Sunderer Poppy. Pretty much 1v1ing Hairy Grandmother, keeping them out of the fight completely. Meaning that it was essentially a 4 versus 3 in which the AD carry isn't a part of it on the side of TG Nocturne. And on the flip side, Paragon, well, they got 2 AD carries, so they're loving life with their constant DPS. And just nothing can be done. Really nice stop of the TP from Sir Jonjo, and I feel like Sir Jonjo's really showing his prowess in a 5's competitive setting. His macro has been really insane, his team plays have been super good, and his laning has been really good within both games.
And I feel like he definitely deserves, to get that little big up, because we talked about him possibly being the weak link at the start of the first game, and well, in the first game he was kind of the hope and faith for them, but in this game it might be looking the same. However, the team in general in this game are looking a little bit better. They got a 3,000 gold lead at 22 minutes in, and it's looking quite decent, but once again, it is going to come down to how they are able to close it out, because that is something that, well, clearly after 5 losses in a row, Paragon 6 have yet to be shown.
The benefit is, it's a lot easier for them this game. They literally, their comp is laid out in front of them. They've got Zac, Poppy, who want to be frontlining. They have Lucian, Vayne, who want to stand behind them with a Thresh to kite for them. It's super easy to play, super easy to execute, as long as the AD carries both have semi-decent mechanics. Yep. And, we've seen the Helicon and Viking can have really good mechanics if they decide to pull it out. It was just the last game, they lost a little bit to Shopkeeper, but that won't happen this game, as Herald's now summoned in the top lane, and we might see a dive.
Yeah, Itkol's going to go for the Horn on ultimate. It's going to be able to pop it, but misses it, and now it's just going to be a scrappy fight. Viking, though, is on his own, has to try and run away. They're not going to be able to get that kill, but Itkol is going to be the first one to fall. Sir Jonjo is still alive, and the Frucharian cannot get close enough, as in the backline. There will be a kill on Helicon, and Viking, once again, being left alone, so it's just a 2-for-1 so far for TG Nocturne.
And what needs to be mentioned as well, fights at this part of the game are super good for the side of Paragon, because if they can get out of a fight with Vayne and Lucian alive, they melt Baron so quickly. They melt turrets so quickly with this double AD carry. So just a pick, just anything can mean that the game snowballs so hard in your favor just from your ability to do that. Whereas on the flip side, this TG Nocturne side, they have Kaiser Silas, not known as 2 of the quickest Baron takers. It's going to take him a decent amount of time to take that. And while, yes, you're not going to take damage because you have Vermouth there with his heals constantly, it's going to take you so long that it's always going to be contested by the enemy team.
And you always have to be extra careful when you're facing a Poppy, of course, when you're doing a Baron like that. Because one ultimate, when you don't have something like a wind wall, can just, push away the jungle, and it suddenly becomes really easy for Ace to possibly steal that. So, potentially always something to keep in mind, especially considering Sir Jonjo has been having quite a good series himself. But we could also, of course, be speaking about the other players right now, because once again, Helicon looking really good, despite, a little bit of a mishap in that last fight, as now Ace and Vermouth are going to meet each other here in the river. Not going to amount to anything as of yet. And once again, we just see the teams grouping around this mid lane and potentially looking for a fight. But the side of TG Nocturne seem to really, really, really want to press this mid lane turret.
And Helicon's met me halfway. He's gone for the Serraldas. He's also gone for the Gale Force. So he's like, you know what? Meet you halfway. And it makes sense. Gale Force is very useful in this game. The active, can be used to kite away really well. And when you pair that with the Serralda's Black Cleaver build, it means that you can reposition really easily and still output a similar amount of damage. It's not going to be as much, and you're not going to be as tanky as, say, that Divine Sunderer build, but you're going to be able to reposition really well in team fights. And what we're seeing right now, we're 30 seconds from this third dragon. This dragon is super important for both teams. For the side of Paragon, if they pick this up, that dragon scale is looking really good. They're able to get into this late mid game with 3 dragons looking towards a soul. Whereas if you're TG Nocturne, you want to stop this. You want to stop the stacking and give yourselves a little bit more time to reach these item power points.
Yeah, we'll see if they'll be able to do that, because the vision control is now in the side of Paragon 6. Hobalord looking for potential death sentence. Going to find, and actually is going to help for charity. He's like, sure, I'm going to go in with that, mate. But that is a great knock-up, though, from S11. It's going to catch 3 people, and they are just running through this fight. However, the Thresh is dead, but the AD carries are alive. And we talked about how strong they are if they are left alive. In the backline, so Jonjo is just making full of the enemy team. Ascendant sure is going to pop the passive, but once again, look at Viking and Helicon. They are running through the side of TG Nocturne, and it's almost an ace. So Jonjo is now going to run down Harry Grandmother, and is he going to be able to get in range? No, not yet. So not an ace, but it's a great fight for Paragon 6.
And Baron, run Baron! Guys, where are you going? Run to that Baron, you do it so quickly. I mean, I think it's a bit of a mistake to start with the Dragon first. You can send that Vayne Lucian to Baron alone. They can take that, absolutely. Basing now, no, don't take the Baron, please, it's free. Oh, no, they're going to base, and it means that they miss their timer for Baron. They can do that within about, I'd say, maybe 15 to 20 seconds, possibly, with how much damage they have. Quickly. They could have took it before anyone else was on the map, but now they're going to have to reset up that vision again topside. They're going to have to look for another fight, and it's a little bit worrying to me because this is a similar position to what they were in before, and they weren't able to close that game out.
Yeah, they need to really push those leads a bit further. And, you know, as you said, possibly only this dragon might not be enough, but it is a 6,500 gold lead, which is more than they had the last game. So perhaps, you know, that is enough for them this time to turn it around. But once again, it is TJ Nocturne who always seem to be, you know, first when it comes to getting that vision control. But surely the side of Paragon 6 have to feel confident after that last fight that they can take a bit more, as they are going to look to get some vision back for themselves. And yeah, I'm definitely expecting a big fight to come around this Baron side. And what are we looking from the side of TG Nocturne to try and win that fight, contrary to what happened in the last one?
Same as what happened in that last game. You haven't got the Lux, but Silas offers the same amount of burst. Huge engage onto one of the squishier members. We keep seeing these Sejuani ultimates going onto a Zac. You're not going to be able to kill him fast enough. He has so many resistances. And he has, well, he doesn't have the passive at the moment, but the added bonus of when he has that passive, it doesn't matter if he dies because he's going to be able to come back into the fight. You need to find a pick onto this Vayne or onto this Lucian. Poppy's doable as well because you have so much magic damage, and Sir Jonjo's itemized fully into armor right now with only that Negatron cloak, apologies, as the only MR component for them. And this might be a good pick here, but cleanse is so vital.
Cleanse is very vital when the Ornhorn goes wide as well. That means 2 ultimates used and completely whiffed, and perhaps this could be a chance, but look at the side. Well, they're actually going to go for a fight underneath the turret because it's a 3v5. Perhaps they can find the ultimate from Derek is there, but Viking is doing so much damage in the backline. They are just not killing the Vayne. You have to kill the Vayne, but it is going to be the turret being destroyed, and the Vayne does fall in the end, but it is going to go before the Silas. Here comes Sir Jonjo, though. The health bars are very, very low for the side of TG Nocturne. A beautiful knock-up with the ultimate, and Helicon is just going to run through them all. There is nothing that they can do, and Fracharian is going to get a little bit of bread in the jungle, but Helicon, the helicopter is coming, and well, there's nothing you can do against it, so you might as well have to run away. So not yet disastrous, but it's a 1 fight for Paragon.
And they can still go Baron if they want to. I mean, Lucian and Poppy are not the slowest Baron takers, and they can take it. I mean, it's just through Carrion, and he would have had to base, would have had to run back there, and if he comes, you just kill him anyway. But they are electing to play this one a little bit safer, and it was almost the right play. I feel like that play could have been really good if, once again, they prioritized the right target. They were killing tanks, leaving Viking free hitting in the backline, and especially when you have so much mobility on these tanks and on that Silas, you have no excuse to not just fly in there, commit those flashes, get onto that backline.
Well, they're going to get on it now as Paragon has been caught out. Can they finish him off? That's a good effort for us to finish him off. Shutdown comes out, but Fricharian is going to trade his life. Now Sir Jonjo is taking a lot of damage, but it is going to be the Silas who falls first. And Viking is just burning through them, but a little bit too deep. The triple kill is there, and with the Zac, it's going to be a fight of the tanks. Overlord is just slowly taking the course over. It's like, hello guys, I'm coming in as well. Vermouth, you are dead. It's got you're a tanky on, but what can you really do on your own, my friend? Once again, Paragon 6, despite being caught out, win out on the fight.
And once again, it's Viking free hitting for so long. Yes, Viking went down, but it was at a point where all the carries had been killed, and it was only this Taric and this Ornn. And what are they ever going to be able to do, especially when Ascendant, I think, is a really smart item choice, actually, to build towards this Demonic Embrace. Gives you that max health damage, gives you that extra tank shredding capability that you need, and it means that you can't be ignored in these team fights, because normally what you think is kind of an issue with tanks is they offer a lot of CC, but once their CC is used, you can kind of just leave them alone. Yeah. But with this Zac, he's going to be constantly outputting so much damage.
Yeah, and it feels like there's just 4 members right now on the side of Paragon 6 who do output a lot of damage, and it just becomes very, very troublesome for TG Nocturne to deal with, because if they keep losing those fights, they will fall further behind. And look at this, they are getting ready. There's the death sentences on the jungler for Charian. Once again, it's just like every time he gets hooked, he just wants to go in anyway. He doesn't care at all, but the AD carries, look at the backline, it's falling apart. They are just staying alive, and if you don't kill them, it is destruction from the side of Paragon 6. 4-0, and it didn't even look close.
Yeah, and it was just really well played. Massive culling from Helicon, just shredding everyone out, and really good ability weaving and usage, you know, perfectly proccing that Sheen on the Essence Reaver. This is something I forgot to mention earlier. If you're not building that Divine Sunder, it's good to go into that Essence Reaver, because Lucian works so well with that Sheen, and really nice play. I will say, I'll be honest, I'll put my hands up, he's proving me wrong, this Gale Force. Working out super well for him, and it's like I said, if you're able to play these team fights super well, play around your abilities, yeah, AD carry Lucian can be super good, and Helicon showing that he has that mechanical prowess.
Fantastic performance from Helicon so far, and not only him, honestly, Viking on that Fang just seems to be unkillable really in these fights. 13-4 right now, and with a Hobolord, of course, peeling for him, it just seems like they can't not do anything to defeat it. And what I love seeing here from Paragon 6 is the fact that they are playing as a team. They're playing the comp as it's supposed to be played. And you talked about it, right? It is easier to execute, and it's showing because it's just working out perfectly for them. However, Sir Jonjo is kind of the deja vu from the start of the first game, but he is very tanky right now, and perhaps, you know, Hobolord could decide to take the fight, but is going to offer the Lantern instead.
Oh, nerf Fresh, man. Like, that Lantern's too overpowered. I want
broken ability.
First I want to buff Thresh, then I want to nerf him. It's like I've got an interesting love-hate relationship with the champion. It's
perhaps
just
he's
crazy.
actually balanced. Oh wow, here comes the engage from Fricharian. It's a huge horn that goes nowhere actually. Can they kill the AD carry? So is the question. The ult is there from the Taric, but they're not doing any damage. And when the Silas is dead, what more do they have to try and turn around? Look at that. The Ornn is getting blasted, and it just looks like they have absolutely nothing to bring into this team from Paragon 6.
And you just have the AD carries free hitting every fight. I feel like they're trying to play a similar style to what they did last game, but the issue is you've now got 2 really beefy frontliners in front of you. Poppy and Zac putting up so much destruction, and they're gonna look for the dive on this one.
Oh my god, I mean, look at the damage of China. He's just forced to flash race to Jonjo, a little bit overzealous there, but the turrets are falling down, and it looks like Paragon 6, they have found their footing. They take their first game in the 3rd split, and they are 1-1 against Nocturne.
Oh, and it's all on the line now. They need this next one for playoffs, but it has set up for a brilliant game 3.
Oh, what a absolute series we got here, because honestly, we talked about it, you know, off screen a little bit, that it looked like the fact that they had the winning composition in the last game and were not able to take the win. It just felt like it was going to be very difficult for them to take a game like this as well, but they managed. They drafted a comp that was much easier to execute, and honestly, props to the players, because in those fights, they played it fantastically.
It's just really nice to see them, and we spoke about it before. If they pick an easier to execute comp that doesn't require so many intricacies, so much synergy, where it's simply we fight front to back, tanks fly in there, AD carries kill everything. It's so much easier to play. And on the flip side, this TG Nocturne team tried to get away with the same thing that they had last time. We're going to fly in, we'll throw everything on one person and hope we can kill them. But unfortunately, the people that they were throwing it on were constantly the tanks. They weren't ever finding the huge picks. And the one time they were able to possibly get a pick onto Vayne, cleanse. Instantly. Yep. Super well played from them. Positioning was so good, and I'm looking forward to this game 3.
I'm looking forward to this game 3 as well, and we're going to get ourselves in there soon. Everything is on the line here for Paragon 6. If they need to win this in order to stay alive in this tournament, whereas TG Nocturne are looking to secure themselves a spot in the playoffs. Do not go anywhere. Game 3 is next. Oh god! All right.
Ready?
Oh
What a meme.
god.
Quick fire.
With 3 people. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are here at the final game of the Valence League, but I should honestly shut up very soon because I want to introduce, we actually have a tricast for this one. Recollect is going to be joining in this one, but we have a quick fire going through the draft, but so far it's the same bands anyway.
I mean, it also, yeah, same bands as we were before. We are joined by Recollect. Toki, can you just stream League real quick for our buddy? Because we've got the ruling lobby. There we go.
I've kind of got nothing to see, and I
just trust us, okay? Just think, oh, what a lovely Teemo pick. I'll just troll you like that. But oh, the ordinary though.
Wow, speaking of a different pick
first.
Yeah.
So you want to pick this one up, Sam?
I guess so. Oh yes, I know all about this Nunu pick that is coming through. I have done lots of research here and I'm fully aware of this Nunu. I mean, the obvious stuff to talk about immediately is the fact that, you know, Nunu jungle is known for its massive clear speed. The early Drake priority is going to be very strong on this champion, and I think that Drake priority is something that we need to sort of discuss in terms of the current meta. Is so valuable, right? Because the games are usually decided on who is able to pick up that soul. Traditionally, assuming obviously it isn't that Cloud soul that does get rolled.
And just a sort of quick recap for yourself, these first 2 games, one of which very close. You know, one team was ahead. This Paragon side was ahead for the most part, and then Nocturne able to pull it out in the late game and able to just sort of sweep them through with better play of their team composition. They played a lot of pick. They played really well around that. And Trundle is going to be picked up to flip against it. We've seen Frucarian and we've seen this side of Nocturne, who are this blue team, picking a lot of tanks. So I think Trundle really helps to counter that.
Yeah, and you do talk about how you can counter those tanks with the Trundle, but it's interesting to see that locked in so early because of the fact that we haven't seen those tanks come through just yet. However, look at this misfortune with the Nunu currently. There's a decent amount of synergy between those champions. If you can set up that snowball lockdown, especially if paired with some other sort of CC-based support coming through in this Leona. I mean, we've played that composition ourselves plenty of times. Leona MF is definitely a very terrifying situation because of the chain CC that can come through with the Leona combo.
I mean, hopefully they play it a little better than us because our solo queue win rates definitely say something different to what you want to be playing.
Hey, at least we got 100% win rate together, Recollect. So.
Yeah, I'll have you know, my misfortune is quite clean, so I don't see what the problem is here. But what we do see in terms of CC is we got that Kennen coming through here on that third lock-in, and I am always interested to see Kennen blind pick. It is a pretty solid lane bully, but it's also kind of flexible.
And it's one of Sir John Joe's bigger picks. He's played a lot of Kennen in solo queue. Kennen and Gnar kind of being 2 of his main champions that he's kind of known for. And we've seen Sir John Joe absolutely dominate in these 1v1 matchups in the top lane. So hopefully he can do the same again. If Idcot goes for this Ornn the 3rd time in a row, it's going to be really crazy to see because he's not been able to get much done in team fights, not been able to get much done in lane either. Threshband away though. It was a huge pick for them last game. Hobo smurfing on that one, and we'll have to see what happens as we go into these last few picks.
And you know what I find quite interesting here is that if you look at these red side bans, you see that Sylas is actually banned on the red side, but to me, I see this Leona ultimate as a very powerful tool to take away for yourself, as well as this Nunu ultimate being very strong as well. So it's interesting to see that Sylas is taken away by the red side. However, maybe some fear about that Kennen ult value.
Maybe it's that Kennen mid, you know, pulling it out because the jinx of is you never know what's going where, but Nautilus is going to be picked up super strong with Kai'Sa. But the only issue is that Leona MF kind of counters a Kai'Sa Nautilus lane, both individually and as a duo.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if this Nautilus ever tries to engage, you have plenty of CC to lock him down with that Leona. That Q being a much shorter cooldown than pretty much everything in Nautilus's kit. And also the low range on something like a Kai'Sa means that she can fall victim to the Solar Flare combo from the Leona combined with that bullet time Misfortune ultimate. So, expect to see that cleanse being ran by the Kai'Sa, but I expect it to be a very difficult laning phase to deal with. And when you see this Cho'Gath on the top side locked in, usually means you're going to be sacking the top side to play hard through this bot lane.
I like how they see the Cho'Gath, they see the Trundle, and go, yeah, screw it, we'll just put tanks into it. But, it's got nothing else. Throw more tanks at it. He can't. He
can't suck us all.
Oh, okay, calm down there, buddy. You're getting too excited.
Oh my god, this isn't.
It isn't jelly and butter over here, man. Come on.
No, he doesn't know the reference. You can't.
Oh yeah, that's true. Oh. Damn, sorry. Yeah.
You've got to explain it now.
It's fine. It's okay. I don't. It's all right. I could be left out. Don't worry. It's all fine.
Toki's going to explain this one because I think he's a better storyteller than me, so you can tell him.
Well, you know what, and I haven't really spoken too much through this picks as well, but we'll talk a little bit. The last pick has come through. The Lux that did work, of course, for the side of DG Nocturne. It worked for them last time. Let's see if they can get those picks again this time. But more importantly, of course, speaking of that point, it was Snowspy trying to make some kind of analogy. Except it didn't really go the way he wanted it to go. It was meant to be something that stuck together, but jelly and butter, it kind of does the opposite, and it doesn't. Well, it slides off each other.
Was glue banned from the analogy list, or was
so I was initially my thought was butter on toast. Oh no, that's terrible. What else is in the game? Oh, Zach's in the game. He's like jelly, and my brain went part of first analogy, part of second analogy, and just stuck them together and went jelly and butter. But then we analysed it for about a minute, and we realised that the meta for stickiness is definitely not jelly and butter. And I feel like if you're talking about a tier list for stickiness, I feel like jelly and butter's probably around like an E. Or
I think
it's really worse.
Actually, but while we're on this point, what are you putting as your S tier for stickiness?
Well, I think there's a PVA angle, isn't there? Surely PVA glue is up there, and on top of that, you have to consider the power of gaffer tape. I don't know if you've ever witnessed gaffer tape, but my god, you can fix anything with this stuff if you are powerful. And on the subject of powerful, I think it's worth noting we are in game 3, and we are talking about butter and jelly and gaffer tape, and I, for one, I'm loving every minute of it, but I don't know what kind of broadcast this is.
I just realised also what we even forgot to mention is, let's treat this like an LEC cast. Let's push this narrative so much. This game is so hyper-recollect. It is game 3, which is already in and of itself. But what you don't realise is, for Paragon 6, they have to win this game to have the chance of making playoffs. If they don't win this game, they're completely out of playoffs. And for this TG Nocturne side, if they win this game, it more than likely secures playoffs for them, because the last 2 teams that the bottom 2 teams have to face, they're most likely not going to be able to beat. So this is super important for who makes it into playoffs.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate. So hype speech, and this is what you give me.
So yeah, guys. I mean, it is the most important match here for both these teams. Extremely important. So just I'll take it over. I'll add a bit more to the hype, of course, because now we got compositions. And what I want to talk about a little bit here, Snowspy, is what we've seen in the last 2 matches was basically when Paragon 6 picked a team comp that was hard to execute. Yes, they still were able to get leads in the early game, but they were not able to push them towards a win. In the second game, they had a composition that was easy to execute, and they were able to push it towards a win. When you look at that kind of, what we've kind of seen, what do you feel like could happen in this game when we look at these compositions?
The issue is for them is they haven't gone for a similar style of huge front line with 2 AD carries at the back. They've actually gone for a Kennen, which needs to find flanks to be useful, because if he's ulting Cho'Gath Nunu, it's not really going to do anything. He needs to be able to go into the backline, get onto this Lux, get onto this Misfortune, force them to not be able to use their ultimates in an effective way. And what's even doubly important above that is the vision control they can get. Misfortune and Lux with Nunu and Cho'Gath, if they get onto an objective first, there is a 0% chance you can walk in blind.
And I definitely think it's really interesting because it feels as though they've created a pseudo dive comp modified a little bit here, using that Kennen, as you say, because if you think about what happens when this Kennen engages, it's usually going to be followed up by a Nautilus knockup using that depth charge. Maybe the Killer Instinct comes into the backline, but then there's a bit of a weird situation where, yes, Lucian is known for his mobility, but he can't really follow dive very effectively. He's usually slippery, but to dive into the backline with a Kai'Sa, with a Nautilus, with a Kennen, and to